Well, hello everyone, it is Ben Hardy here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about vehicles that I see as overpriced and need to have some sort of price correction to bring them in line with market reality. Before we get in this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. Now, when I say that these vehicles are overpriced, I'm not saying it from the perspective of, oh, vehicles are way too expensive and they need to slash the prices by 50% and, you know, all the stuff that people say online. I'm saying they're overpriced because they're not selling. If they were priced properly with the demand that we currently have in the market, these vehicles would be selling. So that's the perspective that I come from. And that's something that I do want to quickly kind of dive a little bit more into, because there are a lot of channels that are starting to pop up in this car space that are just trying to appease the masses, which I completely understand why people would do that, because that is ultimately going to lead to more views and more subscribers. But I don't think that that's actually going to help people out, because just by pointing out that something is happening, that doesn't actually like help someone navigate a situation. It kind of reminds me of when people go out onto the streets and they protest for something. It's like, hey, freedom of speech, you can protest for whatever you want. But what you have to understand is that until things actually change, then you still have to deal with reality and you have to be able to function within reality. So you can say that every single vehicle needs to be, you know, cut in half when it comes to pricing, but what you have to understand is until that reality happens, if it ever happens, then the reality that you have to deal with today is that the prices are where they're at, and so you've got to navigate the situation with where the prices are at currently. And so that's just my little thing that I want to start with today's video, because I just keep seeing these videos of people going, oh, these dealerships are charging this and this and that, and it's like, hey, I think it's ridiculous too. But instead of just pointing it out, how about you actually tell people how they can navigate the situation so they don't have to deal with it? I feel like that's self-explanatory, but apparently not. I guess that, you know, just selling stuff to the masses, it works. Anyways, let's get into the video. So the first segment of vehicles that is overpriced is going to be full-sized pickup trucks. The price increases we have seen within this segment have been absolutely insane. It is completely unsustainable, and there's a reason why car dealers are just stacking up with full-size pickup trucks. I have so many full-size pickup trucks to review on the main channel, and I'm actually kind of loving the situation, because just a year ago I pretty much had to cancel my pickup truck comparisons on the main channel, which kind of hurt because those are videos that get a lot of views. But now I can basically do a pickup truck comparison every single week because of how much availability there is, because people can't afford to buy the trucks. Like some real world examples, if you want a loaded up Ram 1500 Bighorn, which the Bighorn is supposed to be like the affordable middle of the line package that, you know, the average Joe is supposed to be able to buy, you have to pay like over $60,000 for the truck nowadays. Same thing with Ford F-150 XLT. Chevy seems to be a little bit more like realistic with their pricing, because you can get like a middle of the line package Silverado in the mid 50s, but it's still expensive, like mid $50,000 range for a full-sized pickup truck. And so this segment definitely needs to see some sorts of pricing decrease to bring the prices more in line with reality. And if that doesn't happen, well, more of these trucks are going to continue to stack up on dealer lots. Again, just go look at any manufacturer that has a full-sized pickup truck under their umbrella and you will find trucks on our lots, especially with domestic brands. It seems like people are still buying the Toyotas pretty readily, and then also the Nissan Titan as well. I'm not exactly sure why that's happening, because, well, actually the Nissan Titan is pretty affordable, because if you do like a baseline version, you're still like lower 50s. But the new Tundra, for example, I mean, those are pretty expensive. Like you do a middle of the line package Tundra and you're getting close to that $60,000 range, just like a Ford, just like a Chevy, just like a Ram. But maybe Toyota's doing something right that the other manufacturers aren't in terms of marketing or something. Who knows what it is? But regardless, full-size pickup trucks need to come down in price, or else they're not going to sell. And that leads me into the next category, which is full-size SUVs. Full-size SUVs are actually more overpriced than full-size pickup trucks, which sounds crazy because full-size pickup trucks are already extremely expensive. An example would be the new Toyota Sequoia. A base model Sequoia that you can actually buy today, stickers for over $60,000. Base model. We're not even talking about like the nice fully loaded bougie version. If you want that, you're going to spend over $70,000. If you look at Chevy Tahoe, those are like all $70,000, $80,000 at this point. You look at like the Jeep Wagoneer, similar story. Like every single full-size SUV is insanely expensive, and they're, like I said, they're even more expensive compared to their truck counterparts. Again, I'll use the Sequoia as an example. A base model Sequoia is about $5,000 to $10,000 more expensive than a base model Toyota Tundra with similar equipment inside. And so it's another segment that's just way overpriced. And so manufacturers either need to do big incentives on these vehicles or drop the MSRPs, which you're probably never going to see an MSRP drop. That's just not what manufacturers do. And so we need to see some sort of incentives on this particular category, because again, with full-size SUVs, it's supposed to be, you know, obviously, you know, a big utility vehicle that's going to be more expensive than the average vehicle, but something that, you know, the average American family can afford if they need that level of utility. Now, the next segment that needs to come down in price is going to be entry-level luxury cars. So think like Mercedes C-Class, BMW 3 Series, the smaller sized luxury cars. And this also contains luxury crossovers as well that generally are, going to be, again, your entry-level into a luxury brand that's supposed to be more affordable, and they're just not affordable anymore. I mean, a BMW 3 Series, for example, like a base model 4-cylinder, is like a $50-something thousand car at this point. And that's just ridiculous. Again, don't get me wrong, the new BMW 3 Series drives great and it looks great and it has a really nice interior, but it's still a 4-cylinder turbocharged German car that's probably going to be worth $10,000 in, half a decade or a decade, because the depreciation on those vehicles is always ridiculous. And so it's just crazy to me that these automakers are charging this much. Again, it's supposed to be the entry level into the brand. And so the entry level into the brand should be affordable, and it's unaffordable at this point. And there's a reason why these entry-level cars are just starting to stack up on dealer lots and dealers aren't able to sell them, because people don't want to pay $50-something thousand for a 4-cylinder German car that's, going to break once it's out of warranty. And I know I'm kind of being harsh on the German brands, but like, everyone knows at this point, right? Just go look at the reliability ratings. Some of them are better than others, but regardless, these cars definitely need to come down in price. They frankly should be less expensive than the average brand new car. Now, the next segment of cars is going to be the quote-unquote affordable sporty type cars or sports cars. So think about like all of the hot hatches like, Golf R, Honda Civic Type R, so on and so forth. And then think of, sporty type cars like the new Toyota Supra, for example, the Nissan Z, Subaru, BRZ, Mazda, Miata. All of these cars have gotten to a point where they're not really affordable sporty type cars anymore. Like if you get a fully loaded GR Corolla, before dealer markup, your MSRP is like $50,000 for a 3-cylinder Corolla. Again, I was just talking about how these luxury German cars are too expensive because they're $50,000. Now we have Corollas, they're like $50,000. And so I think that automakers need to kind of come back down to earth on these, again, more affordable sporty type cars, and understand that, like, yes, there's an enthusiast base behind that car, but at the same time, these cars have basically been priced at a point where most of the enthusiast base that actually wants to buy that car can't buy it anymore, because it's just too affordable. Who wants to pay over $40,000 for a Honda Civic, for example? Like it's pretty crazy. So these cars also need to come down a bit when it comes to pricing. Now the next group of cars is going to be larger sized SUVs. So think like Jeep Grand Cherokee, for example, Hyundai Palisade, Kia Telluride, so on and so forth. With this particular segment of SUV, we've seen some pretty big price increases. Jeep Grand Cherokee, I think, is like the poster child. The base model version of a Grand Cherokee is over $40,000, and if you add options to it, you can easily get up well over $50,000, well over $60,000. A fully loaded one's over $80,000 at this point. And although an $80,000 Grand Cherokee has a very nice interior and has a lot of cool features, it's still a Jeep. It's still a Grand Cherokee. And so these prices definitely have to come back to earth. And just go to a Jeep dealership and you're going to see tons of Grand Cherokees. Like, they just released new body style. Whenever a manufacturer releases new body style, right, it should sell out because it's super exciting and new. And it's, well, Jeep's selling a lot of them, but they're not selling as many as they could because of just how high the prices are. And then to cap things off, I want to finish off by saying the last big broad category is going to be just domestic manufacturers and European manufacturers, because if you look at the price increases that they have released compared to the price increases by, the Japanese manufacturers or the Korean manufacturers, right, it is significantly more. Again, Toyota has increased their prices, right? That's a good example, but they haven't increased their prices nearly as much as like Ford or General Motors or Ram. And then again, you look at the European manufacturers and they've just increased their prices a massive amount. And so that's like the broadest category in today's video. But I think that, again, domestic manufacturers and European manufacturers should pull back substantially and kind of be more in line with what the Asian automakers are doing, like Toyota, like Honda. Like, yes, those manufacturers have also increased their prices, but the price increases have been slightly more reasonable. So that's pretty much going to sum things up for today's video, talking about cars that I feel like are overpriced in today's market. And I know this is a topic that upsets a lot of people, but I wouldn't lose any sleep over this because this is a situation that will ultimately remedy itself. Yes, there are going to be people that are going to go out and pay the prices that are being asked on these vehicles, but if the overall market feels like these vehicles are overpriced, then the vehicles will naturally have to fall down in price because the market they won't support the prices, right? And so we're already seeing this today. Like if you look at any of the domestic brands, their car dealerships lots are filling up with vehicles. They're not selling. And so the manufacturers that support those dealers are going to have to release incentives to move the vehicles, which is ultimately going to make these vehicles more affordable. And so it's kind of just a waiting game with some of the vehicles. But like I said, just understand the situation will remedy itself. I wouldn't really worry about it too much. But that's going to sum things up. Let me know what vehicle you guys personally think is the most overpriced, in conjunction to what it offers to the consumer. And with that being said, I'll see you.